The AFC Championship once again brings together two franchises historically linked by decisive matchups and a rivalry that spans generations. The Patriots and Broncos face off again in January, 10 years after their last conference title duel, in a setting that immediately evokes the collective memory of the NFL. The stage will be Denver, amidst the altitude, the cold, and the maximum pressure of a game that determines a Super Bowl berth. New England is favored, even playing away from home, reflecting the recent context of the teams and the expectations surrounding this matchup. Before we continue, if you're following the Patriots this crucial season, please like and subscribe. This helps the content reach more fans and keeps the coverage active throughout the AFC Championship week. The initial scoreline indicates the Patriots are favored by 5.5 points, a number that draws attention considering the historical difficulty of playing in Denver. Still, their performance throughout the season explains this projection. The rematch has reignited debates, provocations, and memories of past clashes, especially the one in January 2016 when New England was eliminated in a game marked by errors, tension, and frustration. The memory of that AFC Championship still weighs heavily, both because of the result and the hostile atmosphere at Mile High. The game opens Sunday's conference finals, scheduled to begin in the mid-afternoon. The winner will face the winner of the other game that day. This is not just a contest based on schedule or statistics, but a clash that carries emotional and historical weight for both franchises. In the Patriots' injury report, the main concern revolves around Carlton Davis. The defensive back suffered a concussion in the last game after a dominant performance with 2 interceptions that completely neutralized the opposing quarterback. The scenario is similar to that previously experienced by another starter in the secondary who received quick clearance from the protocol and returned without restrictions. The expectation is that the same will happen since Davis's presence directly alters the level of the defense. If he doesn't play, the options become less experienced players. 2 other important players have emerged as eligible to return after a period on the injury list. Both missed the last few weeks, and the coaching staff is still evaluating whether they will be able to train. The decision will be made at the first official training session of the week, adding uncertainty to the final squad selection for the most important game of the season. On Denver's side, the news that completely changed the landscape of the matchup was the confirmation that the starting quarterback suffered a fractured ankle and is out for the remainder of the season. Therefore, the duel that could have pitted 2 young quarterbacks against each other will not happen. The responsibility now falls to Stidham, a familiar name in New England, as he was drafted by the franchise itself years ago. Stidham takes over as starter with a limited history in the league. In about 6 seasons, he has accumulated just over 20 games. With a completion rate below 60%, approximately 1,400 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a rating below 80. Comparisons with other backup quarterbacks who have had playoff success don't hold up when analyzing individual records. It's a different scenario, both in experience and production. The advantage at quarterback is clear for the Patriots. Drake May arrives at the AFC Championship as the most talented player at that position on the field and with a central role in the game plan. Even so, the context doesn't allow for complacency. Recent history shows that Denver has won decisive games supported by a strong defense and a limited offense, exploiting opponent errors. In the duel between offensive weapons, the balance prevails. If the Broncos running back returns, the backfield of both teams will present similar characteristics with combinations of strength and explosiveness. Among the tight ends, both have solid players capable of contributing both in the passing game and in protection. The wide receiver core also presents clear parallels. Each team has a primary target with a 1,000-yard season and secondary options capable of producing big plays, but without dominant depth beyond that. The biggest concern for New England is the offensive line. Despite positive performances from some players, the collective performance was inconsistent in the last game. One of the tackles had one of the worst individual ratings of the season, repeatedly struggling against one of the best pass rushers in the league. This resulted in constant pressure and multiple fumbles by the quarterback, most of which were directly attributed to poor protection. The challenge is now even greater. The edge rusher who will line up on the same side is one of the most productive in the NFL in sacks this season. If the offensive line doesn't show immediate improvement, the offense risks repeating previous difficulties. The slow pace in developing plays was a determining factor at the start of the last game and cannot be repeated in a playoff scenario, especially at Denver's altitude. From here, the analysis moves on to the complete defensive matchup, sector by sector, and to the historical and strategic impact of this game on the recent trajectory of both franchises. Defensive analysis helps explain why this AFC Championship game cannot be treated as a simple one, even with the absence of the Broncos' starting quarterback. The matchup between the Patriots and Broncos hinges directly on the performance of their defenses, which were crucial in getting both teams to the playoffs and now competing for a spot in the Super Bowl. Inside the defensive line, New England has a clear advantage. Milton Williams has been one of the most impactful players in the postseason, accumulating tackles, tackles for loss, sacks, and constant pressure on the quarterback. His performance fully justifies the high investment made and transforms the center of the Patriots' defensive line into one of the team's strongest points. Alongside him, the other defensive tackle also maintains solid production, frequently appearing in the opponent's backfield and performing above average. This unit is seen as reliable and capable of controlling the running game and collapsing the pocket. The situation changes when the analysis shifts to the edge rushers. At this point, the Broncos have the advantage. Denver possesses one of the most productive duos in the NFL in terms of outside pressure, second only to one other team in the league. Nick Bonito leads this group with impressive numbers in sacks and tackles for loss, making him a constant threat. The expectation is that he will line up directly against the most vulnerable side of the Patriots' offensive line, making this individual duel one of the most important factors of the entire game. The offense's ability to protect the line will be tested from the very first snap. Among the linebackers, the balance is greater, but Denver holds a slight advantage. The Broncos have experienced, aggressive, and consistent players in reading the game, while the Patriots offer reliable but less impactful options. This is a sector that can influence control of the short game and intermediate routes, especially considering the profile of the opposing quarterback. In the secondary, New England regains control of the matchup. Technical evaluations place the Patriots' defensive backs on a superior level, both in individual coverage and versatility. The team's main cornerback is considered more complete than his Denver counterpart, and the depth of the group also favors the Patriots. This advantage, however, depends directly on Carlton Davis's presence. If he is on the field, the difference becomes even more significant. If he is not, the matchup is balanced, but New England still maintains confidence in that area. In special teams, the Patriots are also seen as superior. Their performance on returns, the punter's consistency, and the kicker's reliability form a combination that tends to generate an advantage on the field and in territorial position, something essential in playoff games decided by small details. Looking at the defensive units as a whole, New England holds the advantage in most head-to-head matchups, especially on the interior of the line, in the secondary, and on special teams. Denver compensates for this with strength on the edges of the defense and a competitive group of linebackers. This balance reinforces the idea that the game will be decided by execution and not just raw talent. Despite the Patriots being considered favorites, history calls for caution. Denver has won decisive games relying almost exclusively on its defense, even with limited quarterbacks. The memory of the AFC Championship from years ago still serves as a warning. In that game, the Broncos' offense was unproductive, but the defense controlled the pace, forced errors, and built the victory. The current scenario shares similarities. Jarrett Stidham is not seen as a quarterback known for long passes or high aerial production. The trend is towards a conservative game plan, focused on avoiding mistakes, exploiting the running game when possible, and relying on the defense to pressure the opposing offense. This requires the Patriots to be efficient offensively, and above all, to protect the ball. Another determining factor is the altitude. Playing in Denver imposes additional physical strain, especially on offensive and defensive lines. Rotation, physical conditioning, and tactical discipline become even more important in this context. In the playoffs, any drop in performance can be decisive. This AFC Championship is not just another game. It represents the continuation of a historic rivalry, the ultimate test for a young roster in crucial moments, and the chance to return to the Super Bowl. For the Patriots, the challenge is to prove they've learned from the past. For the Broncos, it's about repeating a formula that has worked before. Nothing will be easy. Nothing will be automatic. At stake are the season, legacy, and future. The slightest mistake could cost everything.